Perfect. So, yes, welcome to Durga Soft. As this is our first demo, before getting into the content, first before getting into the subject, first let me introduce about myself. So, I'm Divya. I have about 8 years, 8 plus years of experience into data analytics. Currently, I'm working as a senior data analyst in one of the MNCs in Hyderabad, and I completed my master's in data science, and I have I trained so many students, have training experience in teaching subjects like all the data science subjects like SQL, Tableau, Power BI, Python, statistics, and machine learning. So this is about me. Today with Durgasoft, currently I'm working on MySQL and Tableau, and this is a SQL course, right? So this is a course content. Before getting into that, could you please tell me a little bit about yourself, Virat? Like, are you currently working or are you fresher?
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening.
Ma'am, I'm a student, ma'am. I am studying chartered accountancy.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Basically, I am from Nepal. Right now, I am in Chandigarh.
Okay, fine. So you are new to SQL?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. All right.
I know
So,
basic Python, but I don't know SQL, ma'am.
okay, no problem. Anyways, we will
Okay,
start everything from scratch.
okay,
Right from what is data. From there, from very basic to the advanced concepts, all the concepts will be covered in our course. Okay. And as you know, the course duration is of 35 days. Okay. And today, actually, as this is our first demo, let's try to understand about SQL, some basic introduction I'll give. And after explaining about, some, at least first I'll explain about the basics of SQL, and then we'll come back to course content, or the topics which we are going to cover in our entire course, we will discuss later. Okay. So, yeah, SQL. So we are here to the basically this class is about SQL, right? So what is SQL basically? Let's try to understand today. Okay, as you might know, the full form of SQL is structured query language, right? So SQL, but if you want me to tell the definition of SQL, I can say SQL is nothing but it is a language which is used to communicate with the database. So before understanding about SQL clearly, let's talk about database. So what is database? Basically the place where we will store all the data. So I can say it's nothing but collection of data. Okay. So before understanding about what is databases and what is SQL clearly, let's talk about let's talk a little bit about data first of all. Okay. So nowadays we know, maybe from past few years we are from from last few years data generation has increased a lot, right? We all are generating lots of data today, whatever domain, maybe whatever in every company, irrespective of the domain they are. It may be sales domain, it may be pharmacy, it may be IT field, it may be teaching field, or it may be education field, it may be hospital, sports, everywhere. It is any kind of sales or whatever it is, we are completely depending upon the data only, correct? Let's talk about if it is sales data, what we are doing actually, what is happening in the with the sales data. Suppose they are analyzing their sales, for example, from the if in 1 week or 1 month how many sales they got, on which products they got highest sale, like that. Along with the data production, I mean whatever they did, everything they are storing in the form of data, and they are analyzing data by which they are earning some profits. I mean, uh, data is the only thing which is helping them to increase the profits in their business basically nowadays. So that is the reason everywhere data is very useful, right? And why data generation has increased a lot from last few years? There might be some reasons. First reason is we can consider it as digitalization, right? We are using a lot of applications in smartphones, right? Every day, obviously, we are spending a lot of time with internet. Maybe it can be any kind of social media applications like Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, right? And or else we are even doing online shoppings like in maybe Amazon, Flipkart kind of thing. And even from the time when demonetization happened, from then we started doing digital payments, right? Nowadays we all are using phone pays and all, or direct UPS we are using, like that. Everything, even for today, for learning something, we connected online, correct? And we are watching so many, we are using so many OTT platforms to watch the movies, like that. Everywhere we are using some applications, right, in our phones. And by using all these applications also, basically we are generating data only, right? So just understand the reason why I'm saying all these things. In the sense, basically, let me give you one simple example. Let's talk about any e-commerce website or e-commerce application like Amazon. Okay, if you remember, whenever we are logging into Amazon, we will use our credentials, right? We need to give either our mobile number or Gmail ID to get registered with this particular Amazon, correct? Gmail or mobile number. So imagine we are giving your whatever it is. If it is Gmail, someone will use Gmail, someone will use phone number to sign into the to basically create their accounts in Amazon. But if you remember, whenever we are creating Gmail accounts, we will it will ask us to enter some details of us. What kind of details we need to enter at that time? We will enter our name, okay, uh, our mobile number, our age, gender, right? All these things we will enter. Once we enter all these things, only then we can able to create Gmail account, that is name, mobile number, and even gender, age, all these things also. So by giving all these things, we will create our own Gmail account. So at that time, what we are doing, we are giving our details, we are giving permission for Google to use that details whenever we are creating Gmail accounts. We are storing our details with them. And whenever, as I said, while creating Gmail account, either we will use phone number, right? So this phone number and Gmail will be linked with each other. And whenever we are trying to sign in any other applications like Amazon or any kind of applications, whenever we are signing in by using Gmail or phone number, by default, if you remember, every time in our phones, once we are installing, we will accept something, right? We'll click some accepts. That is, we are giving permissions for that applications to use our data which is stored with the Google also. So by default, with all the applications, all our data will be stored, right? And with that data only, they will try to analyze, they will store the things, they will analyze, like that. That is what happening basically. Okay. And as I said, for each and every business nowadays, from last couple of years, from last few years, everywhere data is involved, everything is being stored. Suppose all these details will be stored in the Amazons, within the Amazon. So every day, we know, we can imagine, they will get so many orders, right? Amazon will get so many thousands of orders maybe, or lakhs of orders maybe, like that. So to store all this data, definitely they should have some good systems, right, to maintain the data or to store the data. That is nothing but a database. Everywhere to store the big data or large data, they will use, all the companies are using databases only. Okay. I just thought to say you all this, this kind of example, so that we can understand in real time how we are, basically, however, how data is important nowadays, and how data became so important in each and every business, right? So like that, anywhere, whatever the company may be, whether it is small company, whether it is big company, whatever domain it may be, to save the data, to store the data, they will use databases only. Okay, so that is about the importance of data, I can say. And now, what is database in the sense? It's a collection of data, the place where we will store a big data, right? So obviously, as I'm saying, we are generating lots and lots of data on daily basis. To store all those data, we should have some good systems, right? And that is nothing but database, as I just now said. So technical definition of database is collection of data. Okay, the place where we will store all the data. I hope I'm clear. Hi, Suma, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Okay. So actually, before you are joining, I introduced about myself, and Virat also introduced about himself a little bit. Could you please tell me about yourself? Like, are you a student or are you currently working? A kind of thing.
Yes, ma'am. Myself, Suma. Actually, I have 3 years of experience as a Java developer, but
Okay.
Java developer is a hectic, so I want to shift my domain
Okay.
for
I
Power
I
BI.
guess you are the one who attended my previous demo also, right?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay.
Like the timing was not suited to my schedule, so
Okay.
I joined for this.
Yeah, actually, I was about to say this is also an add-on kind of batch. Actually, for both of you, I was about to say this. Uh, just last week, we started one batch at 6 p.m. IST basically. So
Yes,
this is an add-on batch for that. Maybe after 1 week, we will also move to that 6 p.m. only. This is
that
not
is
the,
fine for.
yeah, 6 p.m. timing is okay for you.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Yeah,
fine.
okay, great. So Virat, for you also, I need to mention that in demo classes as well. This timing is just for 1 week. After 1 week, our time will be shifted to 6 p.m. Is the timing okay for you, Virat?
Yes, ma'am. No problem.
Okay, great. Actually, we already started new batch last week, and we have some students there. This is a kind of add-on batch. Whoever we get here, we will just finish all the concepts. I will cover all the concepts whatever I explained in that batch, and after 1 week, we will just combine all the both the batches, and this timing will be from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. IST. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
So yes. Now let's try to understand about what is SQL. So as I said, SQL is nothing but, before explaining a technical definition, let me explain about SQL very clearly for you by taking one small example. Okay, just imagine if there is one school. Okay, maybe I'm talking about any one particular section, 10th A. So in that school, they will maintain one register. Okay, so in that register, basically they will enter all the student details, like maybe the student ID, okay, student marks, student attendance, kind of things. Okay, so like student ID, student name, maybe their marks, maybe their attendance. Okay, to track, they will store in this particular section. All these details will be stored in the form of register. Okay, one day the principal of the school wanted to analyze the student's performance, and he called his peon and said to bring the register. Okay, so the peon went to this class, he took the register and he gave back to the principal. Okay, so imagine, register in the sense manually we are storing something, right? So instead of storing the data inside registers, if I'm talking about any big university where there will be some thousands of students, and instead of storing uh, data inside registers, if they store the data in the form of computers. See, to store the data we have so many formats. Previously everything was done manually only. Suppose in the books, by handwritten, they used to write everything. Then computers came into picture, and something like we used to they used to store all the some data in the form of computers, in the sense it may be text format or Excel format, right? It can be text files or Excel files. In Excel also we can store the data, correct? But at that time the data was small, but nowadays the data generation has increased a lot, and we are storing some lakhs and lakhs of data. So obviously, if we are dealing with big data, we can't store all the data in text files and Excel files. We will have some limitations. That is the reason databases came into existence. Okay. In this example, instead of storing the data, students' data in registers, if they started storing the data in the form of databases, okay, then what is the scenario? Let's see. Suppose, imagine in a computer only, let's talk about, but it's not like an Excel form. They are not storing the data in Excel because, you know, they are so many students, they want to store the data in the form of databases. So what they will do? First, they will create database. Okay. Inside a database, they will create tables, and inside a tables, they will store the data. Okay. So now, if instead of registers, if the data is stored in the form of databases, and when, if suppose the principal wanted to analyze the students data, obviously in the previous scenario, whenever the principal wanted to see, he called his peon and he said to his peon, go and bring the register, right? So definitely he might have used some language, correct? It might be English language, Hindi language, some language he might use to make for communicating, basically to to make us peon understand what he want. He might use some language, and he might convey his message, right? Like, go and bring the register from 10th A, kind of thing. Then only peon understood, and he went to the class and he took the register and gave back to the principal. In the same way, in this scenario, if the data is in the inside database, whenever the principal wanted to analyze something, definitely here also he should use some language, he should use any language to communicate his requirements. That language is nothing but SQL. Okay, here SQL is a language by using which we can communicate with the database. Whatever principal wanted to analyze, what kind of data principal wanted to see, to basically for to get that data, he should use SQL language only to communicate. I mean, to get the data from the database, he should use SQL language only. Okay, that is the concept of SQL. Am I clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. So this is just an example to make you understand what is SQL. Okay. So now if I tell the technical definition of SQL, as I said just now, SQL is a language which is used to communicate with the database. Okay. I hope I'm clear about what is database and what is SQL.
Yes, I am clear.
Perfect. So now what next? We understood about what is database, we understood a little bit about importance of data, and we understood about what is SQL also. Now, as you know, we are going to learn MySQL, right, in this course. So what is MySQL? In the sense, basically SQL is a universal declared language to maintain the databases or to communicate the databases. Okay, so SQL is only a language. Okay, MySQL, in the sense, we have, again, to maintain this, to use this language, we have some tools in the market. In that, MySQL is one tool, Oracle SQL is one tool. Okay, likewise SQL Server, we are having so many tools like this. Okay, so like this, we are having so many tools in the market, out of which we are going to use MySQL. Whatever the tool it is, the language which we are using is SQL only. All the concepts which we are going to cover is from SQL only. The subject is SQL only, but just the tool we are using is MySQL. Basically, MySQL and Oracle SQL are the tools from Oracle company. SQL Server is a tool from Microsoft company, like that. We have different tools from different companies. Okay, so the reason why we are using MySQL in the sense, it is an open source platform basically. Open source platform in the sense it is freely available for everyone. That is the reason nowadays in all the companies, whether it may be startups, whether it may be MNCs, all the companies are preferring to use MySQL as a tool. Okay, so now let's see about, as I said just now previously, about whenever I am saying about databases, first we will create the database, then we will create tables, and inside the tables we will store the data, right? For example, I'm writing one table name here. Imagine we are going to create employees table, in which I will store this kind of data, maybe employee ID, employee name, salary, date of joining. Okay, if I am storing this kind of data, let me enter some data. Employee ID 1, maybe employee name, salary, randomly I'm entering some data. Okay, likewise I will enter another. So this is how we will store the data inside tables. Okay, actually table is nothing but it's a combination of rows and columns. You all might know already, but again, so vertical thing is called as column and horizontal thing is called as row. Okay, that is, in this employees is my table name, I used employee ID one column, employee name, salary, date of joining, four columns I used here. Okay, and in which I entered two rows of data, right? This is my first row of data and that is my second row of data, like this. Okay, and as I said, we are storing the data in the form of tables here, right? So basically inside databases we'll create lots and lots of tables and we'll store the data. But we have something called as RDBMS, that is relational database management system. So what is RDBMS in the sense? If, as I said, we store the data in the form of tables, right? So if all the tables are related with each other inside our database, if the tables are related with each other, then we will say that will follow RDBMS concept. Okay, it's a concept which is used to maintain the databases. Basically, it's a management system. So RDBMS in the sense relational database management system. That is, if our tables are related with each other, then we will say that is following our DBMS concept. And here SQL is basically using our DBMS only. That is, inside SQL all the tables will be related with each other. Okay, which we will see going forward very clearly. So this is a basic idea about what is SQL and what is database. I hope I'm clear for both of you.
Yes, ma'am, I'm clear.
Perfect. So now let's directly start understanding about MySQL tool. Okay. Then at the end, I'll show you once what is the course content which we are going to cover. Okay. So, but first let me open MySQL. Once we are done with demo classes, I will show you the installation process of MySQL. Okay. So this is MySQL workbench. Once we open like this, we can able to see something called as local instance. I'm just clicking on that. So let me close all these files first. So basically this is a user interface of MySQL. Okay, the tool which we are going to learn in this course. Okay, first let's see about this. So this is towards sorry, towards the left side you can see something called as schemas, and below that you can see some names here. Okay, that is nothing but my databases names. Okay, my database names, basically the list of my databases. In the system I have this many databases, that is the reason it is showing me this much. This is the list of my available data source databases. Okay, so by default, whenever we install the software, we can able to see only sys database. Once you create any databases, that databases list we can view here towards the top left. Okay, these are all my available databases. So at the bottom, we have something called as information section. Here, whenever we are selecting any database name, inside we are selecting any tables, all the details will be uh, displayed here, which I will show you in a while. Okay, next, in the center, in the middle, we need to open a SQL file, and in which we are going to write any SQL queries or syntaxes. Okay, so that is, again, we can call it as editor also. So to open a new SQL file, either we can click on, first of all, this one is called as a menu bar, and this is a toolbar. Okay, so in the menu bar we have file option. Inside file we can click on new query tab. If I'm clicking that option, one new file is opened for me. Or else, even I have a shortcut to open a file, that is this first icon in the toolbar. Okay, so if I'm clicking this also, I can able to open a new file again. Here, this is a place where we will write all our queries. Okay, and inside this file, if you observe here also, we are having some options. Basically, the first option is a folder option. After writing any queries inside the file, to save that in our systems, we will click on the second icon, save button. Okay, if you are clicking like this, it will ask us to save that particular file. And whenever we want to open any already saved files, then we will use this icon, first option. If I'm clicking on folder like this, I can able to open any of the files. Okay, like this. So first two options are done. Next, third option, important option. Once we write any queries, we will execute the queries, right? So to execute the queries, we need to click this icon, third icon. Okay. So yeah, this is about the basic options and important options which we need to know at this point of time. Going forward, I will explain about remaining options. And at the bottom, whatever you can see here, output, this is basically the output section, this part. Once we execute anything, we can able to see the outputs here only. Okay, perfect. So this is about the user interface of MySQL. So let's start working on it. Let's create any database today. So here, as we know, for each and every concept, we will have syntaxes available. So we need to follow that syntaxes only to use these things, right? Let's see. Suppose I'll use this file. Okay. Before creating a database, let's discuss some points here. Okay. As I said, SQL is nothing but SQL is a language which is used to communicate with the database, right? So here we also know SQL in the sense structured query language. We also know about databases. Now let's concentrate on other points, main points. That is, here if you can see, I'm writing something inside this symbol, right? That is nothing but comments. We have something called as comments in SQL. Okay, we have two types of comments: single line comments, multi-line comments. First of all, what is comments in the sense? If we write if we don't want to execute anything, then we will write it inside the comments. Suppose this is my notes, this is the definition of SQL, I don't want to execute that. That is the reason I mentioned it inside this symbol. If this is called as comments, if we are using comments, that is, if we are writing anything inside comments, that is non-executable. Okay, so we have two types of comments, that is single line and multi-line. For single line comments, either we will use two symbols. First is this one, whatever I use now, or else hash. So this, I'll remove this. So this one is also called as single line comments. Hash is also used as a single line comments. Next, what is multi-line comments? In the sense, we'll write like this. Okay, maybe I'll write at the bottom hash star, and after that we will write something, anything. Okay, in some lines we can write anything, and at the end to close that again we will use star and hash. This is called as multi-line comments. Hash star, star hash, in between I can write any kind, any how many lines also, how many lines you want, that many lines we can write. That is all considered as a comments. That is that something, here in our learning process I'll give notes, right? So all those notes I will write inside comments only. In real time, maybe if we wrote anything wrong, if we don't want to execute any particular line, like whenever we are something, like whenever we are checking our code, whenever we don't want that to execute, we can use comments. Or else whenever we wanted to write some key points or notes also, we will use this comments only. So I hope I'm clear about comments.
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Now let's create our first database. Okay, creating database. So as I said, for everything we will have syntaxes available here. Syntax in the sense, it's a kind of rule or formula, I can say rule. It's a kind of rule. We need to follow that only to, for each and every concept we'll have some syntaxes, and we need to follow that basically. Okay, so likewise for creating database also we will have a syntax, that is create database, database name. Okay, that is a syntax. Let's create now. Create database. What is the database name? Maybe I'll give it as SQL 6.1 or else 6.1, like that I'll give. I'm already having 6 here, so maybe I'm giving like this SQL. Okay, this is 5, right? Let me give it as SQL 5. Okay, so this is our database name. Okay, create database name. After writing, I need to select this and I need to click on this icon to execute. Okay, I'm clicking, it got executed, and at the bottom you can see the output section. In the output section, one row is affected. If we can see like this green color tick mark, that means it executed successfully. If we have any errors, it will show us red color cross mark. Okay, so now we just created SQL 5 as our database. So to reflect this particular database in this list, we need to refresh. We'll have a refresh button here. I'm just clicking on this refresh. Then you can see I got my SQL 5. Okay, here it is there. So this is how we will create the database. Am I clear? Guys, let's keep the session interactive. If you have any doubts, you can ask me. Okay,
Okay, ma'am.
perfect. So after creating database, we need to activate the database basically. Activating the database. That is, here you can see I'm having so many databases, right? I'm having the list of databases here. So every time whenever I'm writing some syntax, I need to tell to SQL that which database I'm going to use. Okay, or else SQL will get confused to execute that particular query to under which database it should execute that particular query. Like this, SQL will confuse. Okay, so to avoid this confusion, we will basically every time we need to activate the database. For now, you can see simple is a database which is in activation. Now, actually, if without activating in now the SQL 5 database, if I write any queries here, all those queries will be executed in this simple database, because currently that is in activation. If once I close this workbench, then and newly if I open it, I won't have any databases in the activation. At that time, if I write any syntaxes, it will throw us error. So every time before writing any queries, we need to activate the database. Okay. And to activate the database also, we are having one syntax, that is we will use command here. Use database name. Okay. So let me write it as use database name. Our database is SQL 5, right? So I'll just select this, I'll execute. Now you can see our SQL 5 got activated. That is, it got, dark bold color, right? Now this is, we just activated SQL file. It became it is activated right now. Whatever syntaxes we will write here, all those things will be executed under this database only. Okay. And one more point I forgot to say here, SQL is case insensitive. That is, either we can use lowercase or uppercase, that is okay, everything is fine. Okay, we can use capital letters or small letters, it's okay. Now we created a database called as SQL file, we activated the database. So now let's create a database. Sorry, let's create a table inside the database. Okay, so am I clear, Virat?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Clear.
perfect. Perfect. So yeah, let's inside database we need to create tables, right? Now let's create table. So basically for creating table we will use create command. Okay, and the syntax will be like create table, table name. After writing table name, we need to use parentheses, that is brackets, and inside brackets we need to mention column names. Suppose column name 1. As you can see here in Excel file also, previously we entered data like this. Employees is our table name, in which we entered 4 columns, that is employee ID, employee name, salary, and date of joining, right? Likewise, we need to how many columns we want, that many columns we need to define inside table name here only. And for every column name we need to give the data type. What is data type, I'll explain you in a while, but for now let me write like this: column name 1 data type, column 2 data type. Like that, how many columns we want, that many columns we can execute, we can write and we can execute. Okay, suppose let's create a same employees table. Create table employees, in which I am giving first employee ID, employee name, salary, date of joining, right? But I didn't give any data type here because we don't know what is data type. So first let's try to understand what is data types, and then we will get back to this create syntax. Okay, so basically what is a data type? So what is data type in the sense, in every table on we will have some columns, right? So for every column we will define data type, and data type is something by using which, by using data types only we will understand what kind of data we can able to enter in that particular column. I repeat, data types is something, by using data types only, by using data types we will decide what type of value or what kind of value we can store inside any column. Okay, so basically what kind of values we can give inside any column will be decided by the data types. Okay, so why data types in the sense, let me tell you one example. So for example, here we already used this employees data, right? I already wrote in the Excel file. This is Excel file. Here I wrote this is employee ID, employee name, salary, date of joining. For example, instead of 65,000, if I entered hi or hello here, Excel will allow me to do that, right? Basically, in salary column, I need to enter only numbers here. But if by mistakenly if I'm entering any other data also, Excel is not throwing me any error. It is not stopping me to enter any other value. Correct? So this is one of the drawback of Excel. Basically, we will have some drawbacks in Excel file. With Excel, that is the reason databases came into existence. So out of all the limitations or problems, this is one of the problem which just I said called as data consistency. Okay, that means here basically what is happening, knowingly or unknowingly, if we enter any wrong data or irrelevant data, Excel is not stopping me to enter. It is not throwing me any error only. Whatever I enter, it is just accepting, right? But whenever we are dealing with big data, whenever we are storing a large number of large data, if we are using this kind of files where if we enter any wrong data, if it is not throwing any error, that by using such formats, it is really difficult to maintain the data, right? Maintain the big data. If it is 10 rows, 12 rows, that is okay. But if how what if we are storing the data, what if we are storing some millions of data? At that time, we need to definitely have some better systems. If we are writing anything wrong, it should alert us. It should say us that our data is wrong, right? So for that purpose, to avoid this problem only, we have data types. We have data type concept in SQL. Okay, here in salary column, if I'm writing hello also, it will accept. Randomly if I write anything also, it will accept. So to get rid of this problem only, we have data types in SQL. Okay, so we will basically define some data types on column names. We are having some data types in SQL. Accordingly, we will define some data types, and depending on that data types only, we can enter the data. First, let's see how many types of data types are there. Am I clear, guys? Am I going fast?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Perfect. So let's see how many types of data types are there. So first is numerical data type. Okay, so numerical data type, in the sense, obviously we can able to store some numbers. Next, character or string data types, where we can store character values. Next, date time data type, where we can store some dates. Okay, so again, numerical data type is divided into two types. One is int and second one is float. Character data, char and varchar. Two types we have. Date time data type, we have date and date time. Okay, basically let me show you one here. So this one, as I said, numerical data type, character or string data type, date and time date. Okay, so it is further divided into int and float. Int in the sense, it will accept, basically numerical data type, we will store numbers only. Okay, but whenever we want only, that time we will use int. Along with the numbers, if we know that we are going to enter some decimal values, then we will define float. Float means it will allow normal numbers as well as decimal numbers as well, like this 1.2, 2.4, like that. Okay, next is char. What is varchar? I'll explain you in a while, or else in the next session. Next, we have date data type. Whenever we want to store some dates, we will use date data type. Along with date, if we want to store time, we will use date time data type. Okay, like that. So we have some format to store the dates. We need to use this format only: year, month, date. Okay, to store the date, definitely we need to use this format only. If we are using any other format, if I write month then date like that, if I enter, it will throw me error. Okay, so in date time data type, along with the as I said, we need to write like this: year, month, date. Along with the date, we can even store time, that is hour, minute, second, like okay, this format. So this is about the these are some important data types which we will use in daily basis. Okay, maybe we'll have one more data type, that is Boolean data type, in which we'll have only two values, that is false. Okay, so this is about the data types. Next, so accordingly, let's create this table. Okay, I'm copying everything. Just now we understood data types. Now let's create the table. In this table, we are having four columns. For each and every column, let's define the data types now. So this first one is employee ID column. Obviously, we will store numbers. So what data type I can use? Int, right? Yeah, int. Because we are going to store the numbers here. For
Number.
yes, for employee, either I can use char or varchar. For now, I didn't set you the difference. Going forward, I'll tell you. Yes. Okay. So like this, every time here one point, whenever we are storing data, we will define size also. Okay. That is, suppose for employee name column defining a character as my data type. So I need to define size also here. The size in the sense, basically we are allocating some memory, some bytes of memory to this particular column name. As I used 10 here, I am allocating 10 characters or 10 bytes of memory size to this particular employee name. If I enter any 11 letter, 12 letter name, it will throw me an error. I can enter up to 10 letter word like that, because stored only 10 bytes of memory for this particular column. Like that, every time whenever we are storing character data, we will define size also like this. Inside brackets, we need to mention the size. Okay. So for salary, let me use float. Basically, maybe you'll accept decimal values also, right? That's why it's not like 1080. Sometimes you may have like 1.2 lakhs like that also. So that's the reason I used float here. For date of joining, let's use date data type. Okay. Like this, we will define the data types. So let me select execute. It got executed successfully. Now let's see. I'm just refreshing this table. Now I can able to expand. Now we can see this employees table, right? And if I'm clicking on this employees table, as you can see here in the information section, I can get all the information about it, like how many columns I have, and for each column, what data type we defined, right? Like this information we can able to see in this section. Just by clicking the table name, we can able to see every detail here, right? So this is how we will create a table. Next, we just created a table. We need to insert the data. But before that, first let's try to see the course content which we are going to cover in our course. Then if the time, if there is, we will continue with how we're going to insert the data. Or is in tomorrow's session, let's continue from 6, like how to insert the data, what is the difference between char and varchar, like that. Going for remaining concepts, we will see in the continuation class. Before that, let's try to see the course content which we are going to cover in this complete course. Okay. So yeah, as we duration is of 35 days, and as I said, course time is of 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. IST. Okay, maybe after 1 week the timing change from 5 to 6. We already have some students in that batch, and this is a kind of add-on batch. Okay, I just explained some concepts. I'll explain those concepts for you also slowly. Once we are done with that, we will club both the batches. Okay, so
No,
let's
Saturday, Sunday is also included
uh
in
no,
classes. No?
actually, no.
No.
Generally, no. Sundays will be holidays only. Saturdays also 99% I won't take. If needed, any one Saturday I'll take. Accordingly,
Okay.
we can decide that on Friday. If everyone is okay, I will take. Or else, if needed, so suppose generally I won't take. If we get any other holidays in between, or else
Okay.
if like that, we will decide and we will. Maximum, I also won't take on Saturdays. Only from Monday to Friday.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the course content, first introduction of databases and SQL, which we are done. limitations of Excel. We are just having some limitations of Excel. We will discuss that going forward. What are all the limitations and how we are going to overcome that limitations in SQL. That is just a theory part for knowledge purpose. Okay. Next, creation of databases and tables. Almost we started this concept today. Next, once we are done with installation, I mean demo classes, I'll show you the installation process of MySQL. Okay. Next, data types in SQL, SQL commands or sub languages. So basically we are having some commands in SQL. Okay. All the commands are divided into 5 sub languages. Okay. So like this, we have 5 sub languages. Inside each sub language we will have some comments, we'll have some commands which we will call it as SQL commands, which we will discuss going forward. Each and every command along with the syntaxes, along with the examples, we will learn. Okay. Like this, all the commands I mentioned here. Next, integrity constraints. Integrity constraints in the sense we have some keys in SQL like primary key, foreign key. Okay. Not null key, unique key, check constraint, default constraint. Like that, we are having some keys. All keys we will discuss in this integrity constraints concept. Okay. So up to here, this is the very basics of SQL. So up to here, I'll use some basic tables like maybe employee table, students table, some products table, like that. Some basic tables I will use to explain this concepts, because if anyone is completely new to SQL, they can understand very easily. Okay, once we are done with this basic concept, basically my specialty of the specialty of my course is we will use some real-time database here. Okay. So basically, we know once we start working in any companies, we will work on real-time databases, and there we will have some thousands and thousands of data, right? Some like that. If we learn each and every concept in small tables where we have some 5 6 rows, of course we can understand the concept, but instead of that, if we directly in learning process only, if we learn by using any live project, then that will be it will be, it will help us to understand how we will basically handle big data, right? If we are having so many rows, thousands of rows, how we are going to handle that, we can understand by using real time database. Basically going forward, we will have some concepts called as joins and all, so we can learn those concepts very perfectly by using like this kind of big data. So that so once we are done with integrity constraints, I'll give you a random database which I'm going to use. That is a kind of OTT platform database. I can say the next database, however, it will be the same kind of database we will work on, or else even we will also consider it as a movies database. Okay. So this database directly I'll give to you. I'll show you how to restore that database in your systems. Then from here, all our concepts we will learn by use this database only. That too, along with the examples. I won't only concepts and only syntaxes, normal examples. I will teach each and every concept by using this real-time database by solving some examples, so that you can will be perfect in each concept, right? So the concepts are something like clauses and operators, in which we have where clause, order by clause, limit clause, distinct clause, and some operators like and or not, range operator, membership operator, like operator. Okay. Any questions, guys?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am, I'm cleared.
Okay, so especially like operator is something which we will use for data searching for the data patterns. Whenever we are searching for any particular patterns of the data, we will use like operator, which we use frequently in real time. All those things very practically along with examples. Next, functions, we are having so many functions like numerical function, character function, date function, aggregate function. Inside each and every function, we will have some functions. Okay, we will discuss each and every function very clearly. And then from here, our advanced concepts will start. The main important concept of SQL. I feel that SQL is a very important concept. I can say that in the complete IT industry, it is something like a backbone. Whatever job role you choose, definitely you need to learn SQL, right? And especially in SQL, whatever job role you work, joins is a very important concept. So complete SQL is a backbone for IT industry, and is for SQL. I believe that. Mostly work on joins only, right? So we'll have this join because each and every join very clearly, very practically, and we will solve many examples on them. Not only the examples on classes, or only on this. I mean, again, only on this topic. I'll give some assignment question that is just for your practice purpose. If you rest, you can solve them. I'll give some time, and after that, we'll discuss that answers also in our class. So I can rate whether you are correct or not. Okay. So like that. Next, regular expressions. One was an important concept, which is again used for pattern searching of the data. Okay, we are here. We will discuss each one very clearly. Next, again, some clauses, group by clause, having clause, aggregate function inside group by clause. Okay. Next, subqueries. We are having types of subqueries, which we will discuss clearly going forward. And next, normalization, normalization. We are having some normal forms. Basically, how we will convert raw data into a perfect database. We will do that by using normal forms only. So, okay, but one will explain this normal forms practically. If you can see the concept, everyone will just give you whatever rules we have. But by taking a real-time raw data, I know how we are converting, how we are using normal forms, and how we are converting the data into a database. We'll see exactly this concept also. Next, our diagrams, views, index, temporary tables, very important again. CTs, again, a very advanced concept and important concept. Sources, Windows function. Nowadays, from last couple of years, mainly if you are in sports interviews, we are can expect about Windows function also. Previously, even I didn't included this concept in our country. Upon students request only added this few batches ago, because in every interview nowadays they are asking about Windows functions as well. So we'll see each and everything very practically. At the end, we will discuss some interview questions as well. Okay. So this is about the course content. Any doubts, guys?
No.
And
Clear,
one
ma'am.
perfect. One more specialty is that here, as I said, I won't believe on as I said, we'll discuss each and every concept by solving many examples, and I don't believe in giving the notes. Once we are done with each concept, I will upload this files only for you. We will have if have any, if we have any notes, so it will be available then. Okay. And there only you can able to see like this. Notes are like this. There only you can see syntax is there only. We will have examples also like questions and solutions like this file only I'll give you as a note, so that whenever you are solving it will be easy for us. Whenever you are referring, it will be easy for you, right? So this is about overall idea about what we are going to learn in our course. As you know, the duration is of 35 days and the course fees is of let me show you about that details in Zoom. As you attended today, you'll also get the link from our admin, which you will find same. You can just go through that. If you're interested, just get registered with us. Okay, I just now shared the detail with you, and tomorrow is also our demo class. Again, we'll continue with the from wherever we stop. We'll continue with inserting data. Okay, and as this is add-on batch, I'm taking only 2 demos. Tomorrow will be the last demo class, and this batch I take class Saturday also. This week only one Saturday, okay? Just to cover the concepts, whatever I finished for them. So tomorrow it's a demo class. You can listen if you are interested. Whoever registered for, they will get a link, and we'll follow that link and we'll connect on Saturday so that we can cover more topics. And then Sunday we'll see. It will continue in this timing, or else for the 6 o'clock on Saturday.
Okay.
All right. If you have any questions, you can ask me, or else we will meet in tomorrow's class.
Ma'am, if
Yes, please.
someday we miss our classes, right?
Of
Recorded
course.
classes available.
Of course,
Recorded
of
classes
course.
available.
Sorry, actually, I missed
Available.
saying that. Recorded classes will be available for you for 2 to 6 months. Okay, this all class will be recorded, and only once class is done, the video will be uploaded. Will get once you get registered, once our actual class is started, they will give you Google Drive access. Show you how to use that. In that only they will upload you all the videos and will upload all the notes. Okay, that videos will be available for 6 months. From date you got registered, from that date till 6 months, that videos will be available for you. If you miss any class, you can watch, or if you have any doubts also, you can ask it any time. In here also we can discuss. Okay,
Okay, ma'am.
okay, so if that is all, any other questions?
No,
Any-
ma'am.
No, ma'am, clear.
Perfect. Then in this session actually having 6 o'clock batch now. Let's meet in tomorrow's class. Okay,
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye.
you're welcome. Bye. So yes, yesterday was your first demo and this is our second demo, right? Sandeep, I guess you attended today itself, correct?
Yeah, yes, madam.
Okay, actually yesterday only we started the demo, and I just explained about introduction of what is SQL, what is database, and I showed how to create database and then table. Okay, which will be again I'll repeat them of course. And before that, could you please tell me a little bit about yourself? Like, are you fresher or are you currently working? Are you new to SQL like that?
No, madam, I'm familiar with SQL. I'm having 3+ years of experience in the field.
Okay.
Currently, I'm working as a Python developer. I want to learn much more about SQL.
Perfect. Okay, that's okay. So you know, you have basic idea about it, right? So that is
Yes.
fine. If yesterday class was missed, also we can continue. No, still I will explain again, but yeah, thank
Okay.
yeah, thank you. So yes. So let's continue without delay. So first of all, as we discussed yesterday, so let me just repeat quickly about what we covered yesterday, and then we'll continue with today's class, right? So we discussed a little bit about the importance of data in our, in your word, right? And after that, we saw what is database basically. Database is nothing but something like data, right? Where we will store all the data. And what is SQL? SQL is a structured query language. The full form of SQL is structured query language, basically the language which is used to communicate with database, right? So we inside we have data, and when we to, whenever we have requirements with the data, whenever we want some kind of data to to get that data, we will use one language, that is SQL. By using SQL only, we will communicate the database, and so that according to our requirements, we'll have something like queries, and we'll write the data. Right? And in our course, we are using MySQL, right? So as I said, SQL is a universal declared language. All the concepts what we are going to learn, that is basically SQL concepts. But for to use that, we have so many tools in mind, like Oracle SQL, SQL, so SQL, like that. So in our course, we are going to use MySQL, correct? So this is MySQL workbench. As I said, once I'm done with demo classes, that is maybe tomorrow, I'll show you the installation process of MySQL. Okay. Once we open our MySQL workbench, this is the user interface what we can see, right? To select below schema, you can see the list of my available databases. Okay. So I'm having many databases, that is, we can basically find the list of databases here. But by default, once we install the software, we have only this database, right? So this is the section to display the databases. Below that, we'll have something called as information section. This is whenever we select any database, inside database, whenever we select any table, that table information, basically how many are there, what data types, all information we can able to view from here. Okay. And in between, this is the place we will write all our queries. Basically, we need to open some SQL files like this. This is the editor page where we will write all the things. So to open the SQL file, we have two options. First of all, this is menu bar, this is toolbar, right? From the menu bar, we have file option. From file, either we can click on new query tab, a new SQL file be open, or else directly in the toolbar we'll have this first option. Okay. If we click on this icon also, new SQL file, I think is fine. This is shortcut. First icon. After opening the SQL file here, we can write anything anyways here, and if we want to save this file, we will use the save button here. By using this, we can save file in our system. And to open already saved file, we'll use this first icon, folder icon. Like this, we can open any file, right? And then we can execute button. After any queries to execute, use this icon basically. Okay. And at the bottom we have output section. After execution, we can able to see output here. So for now, these are things we understand, and remaining options we can see going forward. Okay, I hope clear. All right. So let's what we discussed yesterday. So I said some points. MySQL is basically is sensitive. Here we can use here uppercase or lowercase, that is capital letters or small letters. Anything is fine. It is case insensitive. Okay. And next we have something called as comments. That's, if you can see here, I wrote here everything inside the symbol, right? Two hashes, two hyphens basically. So we will have something comments in any programming language, as we know. So if we don't want to execute something, or else whatever basically we will write inside comments, that is non-executable. Okay. So here I wrote this notes inside comments. Okay. So we have two types: single line comments and multi-line comments. Single line comments, that is in one line. If you want to mention a comment, this is two hyphens or else one hash. Okay. I think is okay. Both will work. Either we can use hash or else the symbol. Okay. For multi-line comments, normally same in Python, also in other programming languages, so we'll use this hash star, and we need to write some code, and at the end star and hash, like this. This is start of the comments, end of the comment. In between we can write anything. Okay. Next, we created the database history. And to create the database, as we know, first of all, we need to create the database, and inside the database we will create tables, and inside the tables only we will store data, right? So first we create a database, and the syntax to create a database is this one: create database. Okay, what to create a database? SQL file database. Okay. So file data name we give. So after writing this, I just to show you, I'll change database name. Okay, Harish name.
Yeah, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, perfect. So yes, I yesterday started this demo. I gave introduction yesterday that is repeating. Okay, I yesterday explained about what is SQL database, and we created items and table. Okay? I'm reading it, and after reading this concept, I'll continue with today's. So do you have some knowledge on SQL? Are you repeating SQL?
I have what is database
Okay, so basic
basic
idea.
knowledge is
Yeah,
there.
yeah, okay. Anyways, I'm repeating all the
Nothing
things.
not there, ma'am. Like system creating a table system like that, I have no idea.
No problem. Anyways, basically from basics, from scratch to advanced concept, all concept we covered in the course. The reason I'm asking this is actually yesterday started by just now. Again, I'm repeating because this is also a demo class, obviously students again. That is the reason I'm repeating once again. Just now I said you can listen, you will understand. Okay. First of all, SQL is a language which we'll use to communicate with VNet, right? Inside database, we will store data. It's a collection of data, and to understand, read data to whatever the data will store inside database. Communicate, we will use the SQL as a language. Okay, this tool, whatever you see in my system, that is MySQL workbench. Okay, MySQL is a tool which we are going to use here. And I didn't show, so I'm done with demo classes. Maybe tomorrow, like that, I'll show you the installation process of MySQL. Okay, so now I'm once explaining about how to create a database. So website, you can see all the databases in my system creates my database. So it's data available here. Okay, once you installed for the first time, you can see only one, that is this database. After that, what you will create that particular database you find here. And this file, to open this file, we need to click on this icon. First icon here, that is a shortcut, or else from file to query tab. Like this, we need to open the file, and after opening files, we will write a query here. Okay. So after writing, from now we can continue. So now what we are doing here, we are trying to create a database. Yesterday created a database with the name that is SQL 5. Now let me put as SQL maybe 5.1. Like that I'll keep, or else 5.1. Okay. So database, we have syntax. For everything, we will have syntaxes in in SQL. So for creating database, we have like this name. Okay. So now that is what I wrote, create date. So after I write that, I need to select this. This is an execute button. Okay. This execute button which we need to click to get the output. I got this is the output section. So now select, I'm clicking on the third icon. Now you can see I got the output at the bottom. Whenever you can see like this green color tick mark, then that means executed successfully. Okay. If we have any errors, it will show here only red color will get, and it will give us a result. Okay. So this is how we will create a database. Now to reflect this database here to show to see basically the database name here, we need to refresh. We have a icon here. I'm just refreshing. Now here we got SQL 5, right? Whatever we created just now. This is our database. Let's expand. This is an icon. In every database, we'll have 4 sections. One is tables, views, stored procedures, functions. Okay. So first we are discussing about tables. Moving forward, we'll see about views, stored procedures as well. Okay. So we created the database. Now every time after creating the database, we need to activate the database. Okay. Because here you can see I'm having so many databases, right? Every time, whenever we are executing something, we need to tell that which database we're working basically. I just created SQL. However, I wanted to do that inside this database only, right? So first I'll activate the database only. Once I activate the database only, whatever we will do that query out of this database like that. Okay. If none of the databases are in activation and execute any query, SQL will get confused to which data should execute a particular query. Okay. So we need to activate the database. So to it, we'll use command. Okay. The next is use database name. So that is what we wrote yesterday. Use SQL 5.1. Like this. Now our database name is 5.1, right? So I'll select and execute. Now you can see this that the color changed to dark, right? Dark black. Now we can see this particular database is in activation now. Okay, so create the communicate database. We activate the database. Now we need to create the table. Correct. So let's see create table syntax. Okay. So this is the syntax for creating the table. That is create table name every time. For example, let me show you. Suppose imagine this is our table. Okay. So employees is our table, and inside that table I stored 4 columns. We'll call this as column. Table in the sense is a collection of rows and column first of all, right? Rows and columns. So employee name is 1 column, salary is 1 column, date of joining is 1 column. 4 columns. That is vertical is called as column. Okay, and horizontal thing is called as row. That is, this is first row. Okay, this first row of data. This is the second row of data. Like, okay, every time whenever we are creating table, we need to the table name and we need to define the column names also. Okay, that's what I wrote here. So my table name is employees and I wanted to use. So this is a 6 create table within the parenthesis. That is the brackets. I need to write column name and how many columns I want, that many column names we will give, and for each column name we need to mention data type. What is data type? I'll explain. So like that. Now I created employees table, create table employees, and within the brackets, that is within the brackets, I give four column names. That is employee, salary, job joining. Okay, this are the names. What is data type in a sense? Basically, by using data types only, we will decide what kind of value we can store inside any column. Okay, so that is, suppose here is an Excel file, correct? I just created a table. I just entered some data here in the form of table. Okay. Imagine this employee name. This is my salary. For example, for employee name John, salary is 80,000. So if 8,000 or something like hello, it is allowing. I mean, it is saying whatever I write in Excel, it will accept. It will not stop me, or it will not throw me any error setting. As salary, basically, we need to enter numbers only, right? So randomly, not only suppose that means we are supposed to enter some data. Instead of randomly find the data also, it is accepted. Right? So this is one of the drawback of Excel. Actually, we are using databases to store that first, correct? So even we can store the data in Excel files also. Then my database came into picture in the sense. Still, previously, for years ago, first we had we did everything using hands only, like man. We made they made registers, they put manually everything. Right? Then computers came into existence, and in computers we can store the data in the form of some text to fill the Excel files, right? So this is an Excel file what we are seeing now. Previously, of course, we use this Excel files to save the data. But however, technologies are being improved. However, the data usage is being nowadays we are dealing with data only. Lots and lots we are generating, correct? So previously, Excel file if it is 10 rows, 20 rows, that. But as we are dealing with big data now, and as Excel file has some advantages, databases came to existence. What is the first disadvantage? Excel file can store up to 1 million records only. What if we want to store more than 1 million records? We can't store in Excel file. But databases we can store, right? Not only that, we have so many disadvantages, out of which the main disadvantage is about this, whatever I am saying here. Okay. In data Excel file, basically, whatever data I will enter, it will accept. Knowingly or unknowingly, if I enter some data or irrelevant data also, it will accept. If salary column, I just gave hello joining call, randomly I wrote something, it is accepting. So whenever, as we are dealing with big data, definitely we need to have some good systems. Right? That is, whenever we enter something wrong, it should alert us, it should throw us error, it should not accept whatever we write, right? So like that, for that reason, basically database to existence. And to get rid of this problem in database, we are using data. For every column we will define data types. According to data types, we can able to enter the data inside databases or columns, I'd say. Here you can see in salary hello is also allowed, but basically we need to enter only numbers, right? Date of joining we should enter only dates, right? So that is what data types is basic, and that is why I wrote as the definition. Using data is only we decide what kind of value we can store inside any column. That is inside ID, employee name, what kind of data I can store will be guided by the data types only. Okay. So what are the types of data types in the sense we are having? Mainly we use this data types only. That is, first is numerical data. Now we use numerical data type, and it is again two types we have int and float. Okay. Let me show you one picture. The numerical data type we have int and float. Int in the sense we enable to store numbers. Float in the sense along with the numbers it will accept decimal values also. Okay. Next, character or string data. We have two types of data. I mean, basically character we will use either character data type or string data. Both are same. We can call it as like. Basically, to store the character data, we will use this, and it divide into two types: char and varchar. What is char? What is var? Explain you in a while. Okay. Next, date and time data type. That is, again, if we want to store only date, we will use date data type. If we want long date, if we want to also, then we will use data type. Okay. So these are the data types. That is what I wrote. Int, float for numerical data type, and character data type, date and date time. Okay. This is the format. To store the dates, we need to use this format only. First year, then month, then day. Okay. Yes, Rakesh, please. Do you have any questions?
Hello.
Yes.
Some doubt, ma'am.
Please.
What is the difference between you're telling MySQL now, ma'am?
Yes.
And difference between Oracle SQL and
Okay. I'll tell. It's nothing actually. SQL is a language. It is a universal guide language. Okay. For all the databases, basically to maintain the databases, we use SQL. All the concepts, whatever we are learning, that is the concepts of SQL only. But again, to use this SQL, we have different tools in the market. Like, however, if it's Android, concept is Android based. We have many companies, right? Like Samsung, maybe wireless like that. In the same way, SQL is a language, and we have different tools in it. Either MySQL, Oracle, SQL, SQL, like that.
Okay.
Basically, MySQL and Oracle SQL are the tools from the company. SQL Server is a tool from Microsoft company, like that.
The title is different. Oracle and this is.
Yeah, Oracle SQL. Those both are the different tools only, but
Okay.
they belongs to Oracle company, Oracle products only. Yeah, concepts would be same, might be a little bit different in many databases, but MySQL, Oracle SQL Server concepts will be even it's also same.
Okay. Oh, that's the same.
Syntax is also same for the three.
Okay.
PostgreSQL they can be a little bit different from topics, but MySQL, Oracle SQL Server, all the syntax is also same. Only one or two differences are there that we discuss whenever we are discussing that particular concept. Like we have two cases, we a little bit different in SQL Server. Remaining all syntax also same.
Okay, ma'am. For example, if my requirement is the company requirement is PostgreSQL means what I have to learn first, ma'am? Like
Also, concepts will be same. You know, the in SQL, whatever we are learning. Just a second. Basically, this is all concepts we are going to do, which we are going to learn. So all concepts are same in all the tools. Only might be little bit difference. Maybe the user interface almost there also. Here only the databases will be there. Here only execute button is there. Here there the will be different. And syntax is also there will be little bit between all the tools. But mainly, I said for the MySQL, Oracle SQL Server, syntax is also same. Into the difference. A little difference. If his procedures will some, the syntax will be different in those
relational databases only.
Yeah, all relational databases only. That is what I mentioned. Actually, yesterday I explained those things. So, relational database management in the sense, first of all, as I said, we are creating databases, and inside databases we are creating tables, right? So obviously we will create so many tables here. And if all the tables are related with each other, that is nothing but relational database management system. Okay. Here SQL, okay, SQL, it will follow RDBMS methodology here. That is relational database management system. What is relational database management system? If all the tables are related with each other, then that is called as relational database. Okay. We have something called as NoSQL. Okay. That is different. That will not follow RDBMS. Okay. And the tools comes under NoSQL is MongoDB. That is completely different.
Completely, it will be in a table format like.
There will be tables also, but the tables won't be related. It's completely different. SQL concept is different. MongoDB is different. Under SQL, all I mean, have some other tools. All these tools comes under SQL. Only MongoDB is under NoSQL. That is different. If you know SQL concepts, we can't use MongoDB, but if you know the concepts which I just showed here, you can use any of this, all these concepts, all the syntaxes. You can work for all these things. If it is MySQL server.
If we learn SQL means SQL uses for all the tools.
To all the tools, SQL subject same. These rows are different. Which tool we are using to learn SQL?
Okay. Okay, ma'am. Okay, understand, ma'am.
Okay. So which tool we are using to learn SQL is a different thing. Again, as I'm saying, all tools are same. Syntax is also same. Even general explain tab also with Gus. So there I will use SQL Server. The syntax will be same. The same syntax I'll use MySQL. Same syntax I'll use SQL Server also. Okay. But not only here you learn. If you learn SQL Server also, you can apply that in MySQL as well or SQL as well. Like that. All are same.
Okay, ma'am. Okay, thank you.
All right. So let's continue. Now. So this part of dates actually as first year, then month, the date. Okay. Next date, time, date. Here we will write first year, month, date. Along with that, even we'll mention hour, minute, and second. Okay. And then we're also having one data is they will use actually true and false for the values. Okay. These are the types of data actually. So as we understood data types again, for and varchar, what for data we will use these two types of data. What is the difference between those two data types? Identically, let's say also I'll explain now. Going forward. Okay. Now as we understood about data types, let's try to give data types for the table. So we create a table in employee ID. Obviously, employee ID is some will go, so at least I give in, right? Next employee character data. So for now I add, and every time whenever we are giving character data, we need to define size also. And how we will define size? We will use two brackets, and in the brackets we need to define any size. Okay. What is this here in this? For employee size, that is basically I'm allocating 10 bytes of memory for the employee name call. Okay, that is, you can store up to 10 characters only in this employee name. If you store 11 or 12 characters, we will because I'm reserving only bytes of memory this column, right? Like that. That is the concept. Every time for character data, we need to define size, and only we have to data in that particular column. Okay. Next, salary. Sometimes we may use decimal. That is the reason I mean float. Float in sense normal numbers also it will accept. Decimal also it will accept. Okay. Next, data joining. So get date as data type. Okay. This is how we will create. Let's create the same table and select it, execute it, copy it. Okay. Now let me refresh one more time and I can go expand tables. I can see this employee name which we get is. If select below information section will show information about this employee. That is table name, column names, and data types we define. Okay. That is how we will create a table. Until here we covered in yesterday's class actually. Let me continue from now. So we just now created a table. Let's insert the data inside it. However, we saw we got table structure. We need to insert data, right? So now I'm using insert command here. Insert into table name variable and we call values, and we need to enter the values within the brackets. This is syntax. Let's see insert into our table name as an employee. Right? then I use a keyword called as values. And after that, within the parentheses, that within the brackets, we need to give the values in the same sequence of however we define columns. First, I give employee ID, comma, employee, random, giving some names, data here, salary, and your time. Okay, so like this, after every column, actually within the brackets, we will use a separator as comma. Once equals comma, you understand this is first column data, second column data, the column data, like, and after that we will complete total use bracket. And after that, to enter second, I mean to insert the second, we will again keep a comma, and like this again with the brackets, we need to enter data. Okay, so maybe I'll enter at the bottom, and definitely every time we need to enter dates in this format only. Okay? And if you observe character data and the dates we are using, we are writing inside single quotes. We can give quote or we give quotes for character data, and it's only for numbers we can write normally. It's need to mention inside single quotes or double quotes. Both will work. Okay. So let me end one more row also. Again, I'm keeping on third row. I'm giving some details. Like closer and first we close the bracket. This will be first row, comma second row. Next I entered 3 rows. Now selecting this, I'm executing. Okay, it got executed successfully. Right now to display the data, we will use select command. Okay, select is one more command used to display the data. Okay, so this will be select asterisk, or we will call it as star from table name. Here star in the sense it will call asterisk, so it's used to display complete data. If we want complete data, we'll use the symbol. So let's see, I'm right select star from table name, that employees. Okay, so selecting and executing. You can get complete table data now. Columns, the rows will be right like this. And so if I wanted to see only any column names, then in a strict I need to give a particular column name. Like select suppose name, comma salary from MS. If I write this, it will display this particular, okay, employee name salary like this. This is select command. Simply will use a command to display the data. Okay. I hope we have to hear. So what we understood, we saw how to create the database. After the database, we create the database. Then we saw how to create the table. What are data types? How many types are there? And we created the table. We inserted the data. We displayed the data also using the command. Okay. Now let's do the. I will just see the difference between what is character now. So for that, I'm using this paint. So you can see basically I mentioned char here for employee. Okay, so we have two types, char varchar. See what's char and what is varchar by writing here like this. Okay, so suppose for the name column